Welcome to this lesson on ratios and proportions. Be sure to have written your math dictionary words in your math dictionary before you start this lesson. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. A couple of examples of how we can write a ratio are A to B, A with a colon, B, or A over B as a fraction. So for example, when we say 1 to 2, if we say 1 to 2 with the semicolon, or if we say 1 over 2, they are all the same ratio. This first example, we are asked to write a ratio expressing the slope of the line. So a reminder about slope is that it is rise over run. So on a line, we can pick any 2 points and we can count the slope between those 2 points. So this first point right here I picked out is -2, -1, and this point up here is 4, 3. So when we count our rise, we start at our first point, our lower point, and we go up. We have to follow our blue lines, and we think 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we rise 4 units, and now I'm even with this point on the right, and now we can count the run. We can count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the 4 represents our rise, and the 6 represents the run. So when I write this ratio, I write it as 4 over 6. And I notice they're both even numbers, so I can reduce them. I can divide them both by the same number. I can divide up top and bottom by 2. So on top, we're left with 2. On the bottom, we'd be left with 3. Whenever we write a ratio, we want to write it in lowest terms. A ratio can involve more than 2 numbers. For the rectangle, the ratio of the side lengths may be written as 3 to 7 to 3 to 7. So using this example, we can answer our next question. It says the ratio of the side lengths of a quadrilateral is 2 to 3 to 5 to 7, and its perimeter is 85 feet. What is the length of the longest side? So knowing that perimeters, adding up all of the sides, I know that if I just add 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, that's not going to give me a perimeter of 85 feet. So the 2, 3, 5, and 7 represent a ratio. So if we have this shape, it's a quadrilateral, it just means it's 4-sided. This side is going to be 2 times some number. It's a ratio, 3 times some number. We can have that side be the 5 times some number, and this side looks like it could be the longest, so it'd be 7 times some number. So if this were the case, the perimeter means we have to add all of the sides together. So if we add 2x plus 3x plus 5x plus 7x, that should add to our perimeter total of 85. If we combine all of our x's, adding these all up, 2 and 3 makes 5. We add that to the 5, that's 10, plus 7 more. Leaves us with 17x equals 85. To solve for x, we need to divide by 17 on both sides. We're left with x on the left, and 85 divided by 17 is 5. So once we solve for x, we could solve for each side length. Here it's asking what is the length of the longest side. The longest side is represented by 7 times x. If we replace the x with the 5, that means the longest side would be 35. If we wanted to find the other lengths, we can just multiply the number up front by 5. So this side would be 25, this side would be 10, and this side would have been 15. A proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equal. So for example, A over B is one ratio, C over D is another ratio. When we set them equal to each other, we get a statement that's called a proportion. And with the proportion comes our cross product property, cross multiplication. So if we have the proportion A over B equals C over D, then if we cross multiply, their products are going to be equal. So A over D is going to be equal to B times C. We need to solve each proportion. So when we go to cross multiply, I always like to multiply the variable first to keep it on the left side. So if I do y times 45, we can just write that as 45 times y equals 5 times 63. 5 times 63 is 315. Divide by 45. And we get y equals 7. For example 2, we have the quantity x plus 2 over 6 is equal to the ratio 24 over the quantity x plus 2. So again, let's multiply the variable side first. So we can multiply x plus 2 times x plus 2. We can set it equal to 6 times 24. And x plus 2 times x plus 2, if we're multiplying the same quantity, we can rewrite that as x plus 2 to the second power, which equals, and 6 times 24, that equals 144. Now, to solve this, to get rid of that power of 2, the inverse operation is taking the square root of both sides. So if we take the square root of our left side, it would leave us with x plus 2. The square root of 144 would leave us with 12. Solve for x, so we'll subtract 2 on both sides, and we'll get that x equals 10.